This prize that was awarded by the AFT was a juried selection based upon what the Performance Consortium has done. You prove that you can lead with teaching and lead with learning, and that an accountability system around that is a real accountability system if what the purpose of education is to prepare our kids for the future.
For history, a performance-based assessment task is a research paper. So they're given an open-ended question that they then need to form an opinion of and write a persuasive research paper. The consortium produces a rubric that looks at 7 different criterion for this research essay.
For nearly 20 years, the 39 high schools in the consortium have fought to keep their schools free of high-stakes testing so they can provide a well-rounded education. Consortium graduation rates exceed other New York City high schools, especially for Black, Hispanic, and ELL populations. And college acceptance rates for Black and Latino males are more than double the national average.
The previous high school that I was at, A. Randolph, was basically a school that put a lot on regents and whatnot, and I didn't necessarily like that. In my old school, I used to get 70s and 80s, and most of my teachers would be like, we know that you're an A student and we know that you can do this material. But to me, it was like, this material, it's uninteresting, it's boring, it's not something that I want to put effort into. So when I came to Urban Academy, I found classes that I really loved. I took a class on Japanese pop and modern culture. He is a Japanese artist named Yoshito Onaro. He did a lot of art on a subject called Kimo Kawaii.
I have both worked in a school where there was high-stakes testing, and now being at this school, it's basically another universe. I get to go in depth with subjects that interest the students and that interest me. I constantly ask them the question, why, and why, and why, and they leave my class knowing a whole lot, as opposed to when I was teaching to the regions, and they'd know very little about many, many things.
We actually learn things that are relevant to society. A few weeks ago in my history class, we had a debate about stop and frisk, and the debate actually extended after school hours because we were just so heated about what we believed in. I now have the time to actually be committed to every piece of work I do. So I have an essay due. That means I'll have every day to do some research on it, and our essays are usually 10 to 20 pages. One of the things that I actually like about Vanguard is that we apply not only just what we use in class, but we also bring in outside knowledge. We bring in resources or interviews with other people, and we bring that all together to really create something wonderful.
It's so much more freeing as a teacher and so much more fun. I actually left my first school just because it was joyless, I think, to be teaching to the test all the time and to be judging my worth as a teacher by what I could get my kids to memorize. And then came back into the school system a few years later, realizing that there are schools like this one that does allow students to go more in depth and does allow teachers to actually teach and pursue their passion.
We were learning together as a class. We've done presentation after presentation. We've done seminar discussions.
As somebody that is not a native language speaker, this approach is much better because you get to practice your speaking throughout the presentation. You get to speak. You get to practice also how you could really express your ideas in English.
Urban trains you to be more of a thinker than a button pusher. And that's what standardized testing is. It's pushing a button. And when you graduate from that, you don't have the skills to live outside in the real world.
I'm very interested in graphic design, where many of my peers that I'm in classes with at VMCC, they're just learning these things in Adobe programs, like After Effects, that seems so basic to me. And not because I learned these things at Urban, but because I learned at Urban that you need to be involved with things that you have passion for. You know what I'm saying? And to really have know how to harness that and use it to propel yourself in the direction that you want to move into.